I never thought a single text could change everything. But that night, it did. It was past midnight, and I was scrolling through my phone in the dark living room, half asleep, when a notification popped up from an unfamiliar number. My curiosity outweighed my fatigue. The message was short. I can't stop thinking about last night. I need to see you again. At first, I laughed nervously, telling myself it was a wrong number. But then I remembered, I'd seen her phone buzzing incessantly all evening, little smiles crossing her face every few minutes. My wife, the woman I'd shared 10 years of my life with, had been hiding something. And now, suddenly, I couldn't ignore it. The first thing I did was check her messages. I felt guilty, but my heart was screaming for answers. I had never invaded her privacy before, believing in trust above all else. But tonight, that trust felt like a fragile lie. I found a string of messages, weeks of late-night texts, intimate words, laughter disguised as emojis. And pictures, so many pictures, of her with another man. My chest tightened, and I stumbled back to the sofa, trying to breathe through the sudden heaviness pressing against my ribs. I remember staring at the ceiling, the sound of the clock ticking louder than ever, replaying every moment of the past months in my mind. The dinners she claimed were with colleagues, the sudden interest in late-night gym sessions, the girls' nights out that left me feeling proud of her independence. All of it, carefully orchestrated lies. And then came the guilt, not for her, but for me. How had I missed the signs? I prided myself on being attentive, on noticing the smallest changes, the subtle glances, the tones in her voice. Yet here I was, blindsided. I questioned every conversation, every laugh we shared. Had any of it been real? Or had I just been an actor in a story she was writing with someone else? The next day, I confronted her. My voice trembled more than I expected. "Who is he?" I asked, and the words felt foreign, unnatural, but necessary. She froze, eyes darting away, and then, finally, she spoke. Not lies this time, not excuses, just truth. A confession so heavy it seemed to fill the room with silence. She admitted everything. Weeks, months, the emotional connection, the physical. I listened, and though anger bubbled beneath my skin, I couldn't bring myself to yell. Part of me wanted to, scream to, but another part just needed to understand. And that's when I made a choice. I wouldn't react impulsively. I would find out the truth in my own way. Over the following weeks, I observed her, not like a detective, but like a student trying to understand a puzzle. I read every text she accidentally left open, noticed every hesitating pause on a call, every subtle lie. And slowly, pieces of the bigger picture emerged. This wasn't just about her and another man. It was about us, about the gaps we'd allowed in our marriage. The late-night arguments we brushed off, the silences we mistook for peace, the dreams she quietly abandoned while I assumed everything was fine. It hurt to realize that betrayal wasn't just hers. It was a mirror reflecting my own failings. I had been complacent, distracted by work and routine, thinking that love was static, that the foundation we built would never need tending. I had taken her presence for granted, and in that vacuum, someone else had filled the space I ignored. And then came the moment of choice, the one I'd been subconsciously preparing for. I could confront her with rage, expose her publicly, shatter her life in the same way mine felt shattered. Or I could step back, breathe, and find a resolution that preserved my dignity and demanded accountability without destroying myself in the process. I chose the latter. I didn't text the other man, didn't leave threatening notes, didn't create a spectacle. Instead, I sat down with her, laid out everything I knew, every observation, every heartbreak, every tiny betrayal, and asked her to face it honestly. And she did. For the first time in months, she didn't hide. She didn't make excuses. She just admitted her mistakes, her desires, and, most importantly, her recognition of how she had hurt us both. It was messy, emotional, heartbreaking, but it was also necessary. After that night, I didn't feel like everything was fixed. I still felt anger, still felt betrayal, still felt a hollow ache in my chest. But I also felt clarity. The hidden truth, once uncovered, had given me perspective. I could see her as flawed, as human, but also as someone I once loved deeply, and maybe, beneath everything, still did. And I could see myself, the part of me that had failed to nurture, to listen, to engage. The following weeks were tense. We didn't rush to fix things. We didn't pretend to be okay. But we started small, honest conversations over coffee, acknowledging the cracks without shoving them aside. She asked for forgiveness, not as a demand, but as a hope. And I gave it, not fully, but enough to begin the slow process of rebuilding. There were nights I lay awake thinking about what revenge could look like. Public humiliation, exposing her lies, letting her feel the pain she had inflicted. But in those moments, I realized revenge was pointless. It would satisfy no one and poison me further. True power, I discovered, wasn't in retaliation. It was in understanding, in reclaiming my sense of self, in refusing to let betrayal define my life. Months later, we are not the same couple we were before, and perhaps we never will be. But the hidden truth, once revealed, taught me something I hadn't known. Love is fragile, but so is life. Ignoring cracks doesn't make them disappear. It makes them inevitable. And sometimes, heartbreak is the lens through which we finally see clearly. I don't condone her actions, nor do I excuse them. But I have learned to forgive, not for her sake, but for mine. And in that forgiveness, I've found a strange kind of peace. A peace that didn't come from burying the pain, but from facing it, understanding it, and letting it teach me how to live, and love, more honestly. The hidden truth didn't just uncover her betrayal, it uncovered the reality of us, the reality of myself, and the reality that life is too short to dwell in lies or regrets. It's painful, yes, but it's also liberating. And in that liberation, I've finally begun to breathe again.